no one pays for anything short term. When you have these women and they're looking at it from a situation where they see the glitz and glamour of one thing, but they don't see any sort of long-term consequences.
Well, I just don't I feel like older women lie to the younger generation of women.
Okay, go on.
And I just think what I hate is I hate lying to girls. And I just think it's dishonest to say you can just do whatever you want and have no consequence. It really pisses me off. I have 3 little sisters, you know? So it's you're going to say you can just do whatever you want. There's no consequences, even though, especially when it's women over a certain age where they know deep down there are consequences for those kind of things.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't that study just come out that said 90% or 80% of and content creators said they were rejected because of it, or 80 to 90% of guys said they would reject someone because I don't remember which
Probably
way it
the
was.
second one.
Yeah, it was, but
because I'll tell you right now, those girls who make that money on OnlyFans do have boyfriends. They are getting in relationships.
Yeah.
But one of two things happens. Either the guy they're with has some other kind of proclivity, meaning maybe he's bisexual and he's fine with the content creation, or he's in content creation also.
Yeah.
Or what's most likely is that they have a man who they lowered their standards and picked a guy who was very stable.
Yeah.
And then eventually they're going to leave him.
Yeah.
That's most, again, not all the time.
Right.
I definitely know some, one of the things is when I made these comments, I had friends of mine that were married and they both do OnlyFans together. And I'm I'm not talking about you. There's some girls that go on there, they don't even pose nude. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about girls who are literally doing hardcore porn to make a buck. And then I'm just mentioning that there might be some consequences for this. And I'm just getting hounded. My girlfriend is actually more draconian about this than me. She's I'll never have I won't do anything like that. And she made a video.
She seems awesome. I saw her on whatever. Yeah, she seems so cool.
Yeah. So she makes a video, and she in the video she says, I found my dream man, and he's proof for me. I know that for me to get a guy like this, I need to not have an OnlyFans, right? And the hate, they're literally calling her a misogynist for saying this. She can have that opinion. That's what was so crazy to me.
Yeah. Well, and I just really don't like lying to younger women. And I think a lot of older women give younger women bad advice because they're bitter about the position that they're in.
Yes.
And it's I would rather tell the next generation of women that this stuff will have consequences, especially because I just have 3 little sisters. Yeah. So I just don't like
I think what the issue is there's very little short-term consequence. And when you're in your feelings, you don't think about that. I try to describe what I think the world is like, but I don't try to prescribe. Meaning I tell my friends, I'm if you want to be a girl who has sex with a guy on OnlyFans and multiple guys, you can do that because you live in the United States and you're free to do that. But there's going to be consequences. And these consequences are the pool of men that you're going to have to select from are narrower and narrower and narrower. And when we start with men who are over 6 feet tall, make a six-pack abs, or not obese, and make over $100,000 a year, we're only talking about 0.38% of men in the United States. So you start with that number, and it starts to shrink as he realizes this woman is having sex on OnlyFans. Do you understand what I'm saying? Some of these people are my friends. I'm how the are you calling me a misogynist for pointing out numbers to you?
Yeah, I just think it's when they don't really have an argument to be. I don't really think it matters how you say it to them. I think they'll be offended either way.
That's one of the things that I thought was interesting is I start off the argument, just as an experiment, I'll start off the argument by literally saying, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
Right.
You can be happy. There's a lot of money you can make doing OnlyFans. I'm sure you can. Now, doing whatever you want, here's the possible consequences. If you came to me and said, hey, Michael, you played pickup basketball for 25 years, your knees might be fucked up. I'm not going to go, fuck you, dude. I can't believe you said that to me, piece of shit.
Yeah.
No, I was hey, you know what? You're probably right. Because here's the thing. I think people are the way they are, not because of a lack of morality, but it's a lack of consequences. And let's talk about it on both sides.
Yeah.
Jordan Belfort.
Yeah.
Quaaludes. Prostitutes. 15 months or 27 months in a federal prison. All this stuff. Is he more famous or less famous after he commits the crime?
Oh, more famous. That man built a career.
You saw the dude from Fire Festival. What's his name? Fad or
I've heard of him. Yeah.
He goes on CNN the other day. He's doing Fire Festival Part 2. The Tinder swindler is starting a coaching program.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. That's horrible.
Isn't it horrible?
Yeah.
Okay. O.J. Simpson is about to get hired, because I talked to him about it. He's about to get hired to do a fantasy football podcast. Okay. Oliver North, who was part of the Iran-Contra affair, was a correspondent for Fox News. And when Logan Paul, he goes in that forest and he violates terms of service for YouTube, he becomes more famous afterwards. Remember, he's canceled, then he does the fight with KSI, and now he's more famous. My point is, no one pays for anything short term. Pearl. And so when you have these women and they're looking at it from a situation where they see the glitz and glamour of one thing, but they don't see any sort of long-term consequences, I think that's what the issue is. It's not that there's no consequences, there's no short-term consequences.
Right. I have a question. Do you think women lie about how much they make on OnlyFans
Yeah, I think a lot of them do, but some of them I could verify.
Well, because there's a couple girls on the show I was on and whatever, where I started like looking at it at like their likes or whatever. Like one girl said she made $70K a month, and I was just looking it up, and I'm like, you don't even have like subscriptions on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was looking up the number of women on OnlyFans that made that amount of money. It was like 0.01%. I was like, maybe she is. I don't know.
No,
but
you're right. A lot of them are lying, because if they're making $300K a month, doesn't it make their decision seem like it makes more sense?
Yeah.
Because even some men are going to hear $300K a month and be like, okay, I get it. You know what I'm saying? And here's another funny thing. So I talked to them, and they may be coping. They may be not telling the truth. But I talked to a lot of them, and when they do make $100K a month or $200K a month and they buy a new house and a nice car, they tell me that there's this point to where their parents are like, okay, I can see you're making good money from this, and they're like okay with it. Now, I don't know if they're telling the truth.
Right.
I'm just going to take them at their word. But there is a point where, is it $500,000 a month? At what point is it now then okay to do this? And then what are you giving up in the future?
Right.
Because playing devil's advocate, $500,000 a month is a lot of money.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of happiness you can buy with that.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm like, that's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
Yeah.
I know I know at least 10 girls who make $300K a month.
Wow.
On OF. And I talked to them about this whole situation, and it's really interesting. Like, from everything from like their entire lifestyle is now a tax write-off. Everything they do is a tax write-off, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And then when you ask them to come on your show, whatever, Fresh and Fit, they immediately say yes. They'll fly out. So it's Stephanie.
Will they tell them to come on?
Stephanie Palomares. Oh, dude, I'll tell. I know a bunch of girls in the UK will come. You know, the concept of like there not being that many consequences anymore. I agree with you on this, but I think that's the reason why there's a change.
No, I agree. I mean, I was thinking about it. I'm like, really, we're bailed out of every bad decision we make. Like, it's like if we sleep around, there's like birth control and there's abortion, right? Which I'm very like pro-life.
Yeah.
And even if we get pregnant, like we can put them on child support, we can give it up for adoption, like which maybe hypocritical. My parents did that, but and then even if we're bad with our money, like there's a million government benefits. Yeah. And it's actually crazy in the UK. I'm doing this like divorce documentary right now.
So you're given a divorce attorney. What would was something like when in cases of abuse, the state pays for an attorney?
Yeah, I think it was like 5 years ago or maybe 7 roughly. The UK made it like that you get free counsel if you accuse a guy of abuse. And so basically like with one phone call, like if I'm dating someone and I just decide, I'm really just not feeling it anymore, I can go to the police, get him arrested, and he can't see his kids. I can get their version of a restraining order there with one phone call, kick him out of the house he lives in, put him on child support until the trial, which oftentimes is like 6 months to a year and a half. And then by the time we get to trial, he hasn't seen his kids in a year and a half. And so now they give her primary custody because the kids haven't been in their life. And there's no consequence for this. And they also get a free lawyer, and he has to pay for his.